Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is VANCOLOUR, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show. Tonight, we're going to explore some of the City of Vancouver's hidden history. Did you know that Vancouver has a reputation for being a haunted city? Many landmarks, including Waterfront Station, the Hotel Vancouver, and even the old spaghetti factory in Gastown, are infamous for the ghosts that haunt them. To explain it all is a ghost host for Ghostly Vancouver Tours, which offers historic walking tours of Vancouver's most atmospheric neighborhoods. She is Lydia Williams. Lydia, thanks so much for being here tonight.
Thanks, Mo.
So give it to me straight. Just how haunted is the city of Vancouver?
I would say very.
Very?
But I would say most places are very haunted. I wouldn't say it's any more or less than other cities.
Okay. But Vancouver is a fairly new city in the grand scheme of things. So what right do we have to be haunted?
Well, it just takes a few deaths, Mo, and then we're ready to go. A great fire to wipe us out.
Right.
Maybe Spanish influenza, smallpox, or just history. I mean, people have lived on this land for thousands of years.
Absolutely.
So there were people here. We just didn't have this dense city population up until late 1800s.
Right. So when we talk about hauntings in Vancouver, is it primarily located in downtown Vancouver? I know that's where your walking tours are.
Well, I like to do tours in the older parts of the city, so
Okay.
Gastown, downtown, and the West End. I think it just has the most history. It was the Wild West once upon a time, definitely. Lots of mayhem, murder, and mischief happened back in the day. And there's a lot of older buildings, so there's just encapsulated in these old buildings a lot of that history, a lot of ghosts, energy from the past.
Is there one particular ghost or ghost story that constantly comes up when we think of Vancouver? Is there a signature ghost of the city?
I would say the lady in red from the Hotel Vancouver. She seems
tell
to
me
be
about her.
Okay. Well, the Hotel Vancouver was completed in 1939, and it's a grand old hotel, 15 stories. Apparently, she is a socialite from the 40s named Jenny Pearl Cox, who loved to party at the Hotel Vancouver when they had the panorama room on the 15th floor. She died tragically, supposedly. I haven't been able to verify this, but the story is that she died tragically in Stanley Park with her husband and her child in a car accident. And she came back to her favorite place, the Hotel Vancouver.
So what are these ghosts doing when they're haunting these locations and these landmarks? Are they trying to resolve something? What's the thought there?
It depends.
Why are they there?
It depends. For example, for someone like the lady in red, I would say just reliving the best times of her life. I think there's a misconception that ghosts come back to where they died or where they have unresolved issues, and sometimes that happens, but I think primarily they just come back to their home, their happy places.
Percentage-wise, how many of these ghosts are seeking revenge?
Oh, Lord, less than 1%, maybe?
Okay, that's pretty good. So they're friendly for the most part.
Well, they just have a different agenda. Their agenda isn't necessarily to avenge their death, though I'm sure there are some spirits who do that. But really, they're here for a reason. Sometimes they just don't want to go.
Right.
Sometimes they don't realize that they've passed on either.
Have you ever been on a walking tour where you've seen one of these ghosts?
Well, on my Gastown tour, I did see shadows moving in an area that's notorious for having shadowy figures.
Whereabouts was that?
That was in Blood Alley.
Okay.
And one of my guests caught a photo of a dark, shadowy figure beside me in the alley as well.
And it couldn't be explained by someone else's shadow, or?
Well, I was at the door between Jailer's Mews and Blood Alley, and it's an iron gate.
Right.
And I was struggling with the door, like I'm always struggling with that door. And there was no one beside me. I know, because I was standing right there, and he showed me the photo afterwards. Did you see that this came up? And I thought, well, there was no one there.
Interesting. Now, I've been told that you are a ghost hunter, and you actually have equipment to capture the spirits or the essence of these spirits. What is that? What is entailed in that?
Well, I'm a part-time ghost hunter. Okay. I'm not officially part of a big group. I'm not on a television show like Ghost Adventures or anything. I would love to be, absolutely. Something I do here and there. It's just basically going into a haunted location, bringing some equipment, whether they're EMF, electromagnetic field meters, having some recording equipment, and just trying to get a sense of if there's a spirit there, if we can record any evidence. I know that the TV shows make it look really exciting. What was that? I think we're encountering ghosts. Did you feel that? But honestly, it's probably the most boring 3 hours of your life. You sit in the dark, you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to move, and you have to be, absolutely still and be also measuring ghosts. I tend to fall asleep during ghost hunts.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well,
it's that boring.
Especially if nothing's happening.
Right, yeah.
And it's late at night, too, so that's part of the problem.
That makes sense. Tell me about the old spaghetti factory in Gastown, because I love that place. I've loved that place when I was a kid. I didn't realize there were ghosts hanging around.
How did you not know? That was the most haunted restaurant in Vancouver.
Is that right?
It is.
Okay. What's the story there?
Well, first of all, it's in Gastown.
Yeah.
Gastown's I don't think you could throw a rock in Gastown without hitting a haunted building. I think that's just the way it works. It was always a commercial building. It used to be a grocer, I believe, had their offices there or their business there. And for some reason, it just attracts a lot of ghosts. I think part of the issue could be all the antiques that are housed in there, because it's not only a place that can have a spiritual attachment. It can be objects.
Right.
Spirits can get quite attached to things. Maybe it's a wedding ring, or it's a photograph, or it's a toy, a doll especially.
What if I don't want to mess with ghosts and I just don't want them around me? Is there anything I can do?
Well, for example, if you move into a home and you fear that there could be spirits lingering, you could try to have it cleansed. I know people get sage and think, I'm just going to sage the house and everything's going to be fine. I don't think it really works that way. If you really want it cleansed, get a psychic medium to come in, help spirits move on if for some reason they're lingering and they shouldn't be.
Interesting. So, Lydia, you know that I do believe in ghosts, and I do believe in some sort of energy or spirits that can't be explained. We can call it paranormal or whatever it is. I don't have any definitive opinions, but I believe that there's something out there. I'm sure there are viewers right now watching this being like, this is made up. You guys are making this up in your head. Ghosts do not exist. This is a grift. What would you say to that person?
Well, I have those people on my tour. It's the first question I ask of my guests. What is your belief in ghosts?
Yeah.
And some people are absolutely 0 out of 10. I don't believe in them at all. And that's fine. They love a good ghost story.
Yeah.
They know what they signed up for. And I think it really depends on having that personal experience. If you've never had it, or someone you're close to and you trust has never had one, it's hard to be 10 out of 10 on that scale.
Totally. Well, hey, Lydia, I appreciate your time tonight, and I hope that all the ghosts you encounter are friendly, or at least neutral.
That's okay if they're not.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Folks, that was the ghost host for Ghostly Vancouver Tours. She is Lydia Williams. If you're in Vancouver, definitely book a tour at www.ghostlyvancouvertours.com. I promise you, it's a ton of fun. Now, after some business, let's talk about Hogan's Alley, a predominantly black neighborhood in the city of Vancouver that was demolished in the 1970s for the Georgia Viaduct, which now itself is set to come down at some point. So what can the future hold for the former site of Hogan's Alley? We'll talk about it up next. I'm Mo Amir. This is VANCOLOUR.